Yes. Yes, 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 yes. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the latest edition of the Woke Bros, of course. Excuse me. Let me bring that back. Welcome back to the latest edition of Wos Speaks. I'm your host, Big Wos, aka Wosny Lambre, man. Shouts to everybody locked in with us today. Reporting to you guys live from Atlanta. I'm on the road today, guys. In a B&B, undisclosed location in Southeast Atlanta. Apparently, this used to be the hood, but now really nicely renovated crib. It's about seven of us in here, 7-bedroom crib, nice neighborhood, good lawns. Like it over here. I don't think I've ever really spent that much time in Southeast Atlanta, but it's cool having to be here. Shouts to everybody again for checking in with us. Um, Good feedback from the last few episodes. Also shouts to my brother Jake One on the beat. Jake One blessing us with this music. Um anyway. Um so just a couple of things that I want to get into. Obviously, the only thing in the news right now is Doge, Elon and them. And I want to say I read something in New York Mag, their intelligencer blog. My man Ross Barkin, um, he put a pretty dope blog out there where he's just like, guys, like, it's not that these executive orders don't matter. It's not that like what Elon is trying to do with Doge and cutting down the government doesn't matter, but like the real damage that they're trying to do is going to be in the Congress with this insane tax cut for the mega rich. Those things are more permanent. Realistically, every executive order, the next guy that comes in there can just with the wave of a pen undo it. Um and that those are the things that don't get destroyed in the court, right? So, it's important to keep your eye on the ball. The next thing they're working on is this tax bill, this tax cut for the mega rich, where the so far the bill that's been proposed by the House, they're proposing like an insane cut of Medicaid, which obviously our most vulnerable citizens are on. So they feel like these are the people with the least political capital, so they can take advantage and cut their health insurance. We'll see. The thing about Medicaid is that it doesn't discriminate. There are Republicans, plenty of them, in red states, in the heartland, where like these Republican people got to go back to their district and tell their citizens, like, yo, we cut your fucking health care off just because we felt like it. Um, so we'll keep our eye on that. But I wanted to talk about something, man, because I wanted to get into Stephen A last week. Um, because I've been having some interesting dialogues with a bunch of people, like people that I grew up with who pay attention to politics, my, dirty commie homies, like all kinds of people. And I think it's just an interesting topic because it just speaks to the freaking moment. So, like, for those of you who don't know, Stephen A is kind of like in the last month or so, basically ever since the Dems took that L in November, he's been toying with the idea of running for president himself. And, a lot of it is just him voicing a frustration with the Democratic Party. It's just like, how have you guys gotten so lost that you could allow yourself to lose to a candidate like Trump, who nobody thinks is a particularly appealing candidate? Like, this guy has had insane unfavorables for a decade now. He's like one of the most disliked public figures of our time. He's not some universally beloved with some amazing appeal that all people of all kinds are just gravitating towards. And it's just like, Stephen A is just looking at it like, and he comes from a sports background, obviously. He's like, why are we taking L's to these guys? We as the Democrats, because Stephen A, he calls himself independent, but he's a Democrat. Um, and so, he's been toying with the idea of going for a run himself, and it's just sparked a lot of chatter uh amongst different groups of people who would consider themselves to be on the left side of the political spectrum. And, just a couple of things I want to say off the rip. I don't know Stephen A personally. I met him. I met him at Staples Center or Crypto, whatever the fuck we're calling it, in the media room one time. Um, just a couple of things about that. Like what people need to understand about Stephen A. If you're going to games all the time, you're in locker rooms all the time, like I was at that time, like you kind of understand the rhythms of what goes on. Like the beat guys, it's almost like an assembly line, like a factory. Like I'm going to this dude, this dude, this dude for my quotes. Gonna get this from Doc Rivers. I'm gonna do whatever, blah blah blah. Like this sort of a bit of a routine in it, and like this, you build a sort of relationship and a bit of a camaraderie with the people that show up to the games every day. Like everybody knows each other. This is like a whole. It's like a whole kind of culture unto itself when you're going to games every game amongst the media. But when Stephen A pulls up, there's like a shift that happens in the sense that, like, one, when you go to the media room, there's a bunch of people that want to bend Stephen A's ear. Obviously, he's like mega famous. He's like a guy in our industry who's accomplished so much. Like people fuck with Stephen A. People are fans of him in our industry, whatever. Like people just constantly walking up to him, talking to him, and super accessible guy. I myself went introduced myself to Stephen A. Stephen A's from Hollis. I'm from Queens Village. Those are neighboring areas in Queens. So I told him where I was from. He's like, "Oh shit, that's what's up." Super nice. He was like, "What's your name again, brother?" Blah blah blah. Word. That's what's up, man. Whatever. Just had a nice encounter. Whatever. That's the extent of me and Stephen A. Like I don't have a relationship with him. We go to the locker room after the game. They let media in there, and it's different. Like when my guys is in there asking their questions, like yo, blah blah blah, it's the routine. Stephen A's in there. Players are coming up to him. Players walking up to Stephen A want to bend his ear. Players walking up to Stephen A want to start chatting with him. Whereas like the normal discourse is like, yo, it's like almost like my beat guys is like pulling teeth, trying to get their quotes for their stories and shit for their deadlines. With Stephen A, it's like this guy just has a universal crazy respect. And I know he's a TV guy and he's an entertainer guy, but he cut his teeth as a journalist, bro. Breaking news, cultivating sources, being super tapped in Philadelphia, in New York, all of that shit. So like whatever. I just say that to say like I have the utmost respect for what this guy does professionally. Now, in terms of the noise he's been making about the Democrats and a potential run and all of that. Let me just put it to you like this. And when I'm talking to, my real lefty guys or whatever, and there's people out there like, oh, why would you support a centrist? He's got centrist ideology and blah 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 blah. I'm just like, guys, like the old paradigm is done. It's over. We need to stop thinking in terms of like who's centrist, who's left of center, who's far left, who's progressive, bruh. Like we gotta let go of those old paradigms. But like again, when I talk to homies on the left, it's just like, yo, this is a guy who has automatic name recognition. He's one of the most famous people in America. There's no two ways about it, especially amongst men. Like if you watch sports of any kind, you know who this guy is. I'm not saying he's universally beloved in America, but this is a guy who everybody knows and whose job it is to communicate, whose job it is to keep the finger on the pulse of what gets people going. And I get it, it's in a sports realm, but I promise you, if Stephen A wanted to become the Black Sean Hannity on somebody's CNN, it would be a fucking successful show. If he felt like leaving ESPN to go do something at MSNBC, his show would be successful. I promise you. Like, I promise you, as a nigga who does this for a living, I promise you. So when people are like, oh, he's not of the political, I'm like, guys, like, you really think this guy can't do what Sean Hannity do? He can't do what Tucker Carlson does? He can't do what Joyanne Reed does? Jake Tapper? Y'all really think these guys are more like This is insane. Whatever. And the bottom line is, it's not even just that this guy has a way about him, has a charisma about him, has a way of getting through and talking to people. It's, why should you trust the Democrats to come up with a better alternative? Why should you trust the Democratic Party establishment, the people who force fed us Hillary Clinton, the people who force fed us Joe Biden? Don't forget that. They did the same shit when Barry made them calls. He got everybody in line, got people to drop out. Force fed us Joe Biden. The people who had to be dragged kicking and screaming to get Joe Biden the hell up out of our race. It took until the 11th hour for these people to want to do that. The people who forced Kamala, they was like, no, we don't want to have a competition where people go at each other and present different ideas and a winner emerges from a competitive democratic process. No. The people who force fed us Kamala Harris. We're talking about, look, you can love Kamala Harris all you want. Not a skilled politician. Not an effective communicator. Didn't reach the people. Bad candidate. Bad. Joe Biden. I mean, goddamn. Joe Biden. Hillary Clinton. One of the most detested political figures of my life. We force fed it to the people. So that's a one. Why do we trust the party establishment to do that? And then you can say, no, Wos. They took that L and they're like learning from the mistakes that were made, and it's going to be so much better in all of this. All of these postmortems. David Plouffe go on with the Pod Save Bros. Obama guy running the Harris campaign. Yeah, we didn't counteract the Kamala's for they, Trump is with you ads, because when we focus grouped it didn't land. The people that we focus group with said it didn't land. These people who want to govern via focus group, via political consultant. They want to do the thing called popularism. They want to poll a bunch of shit and have people just bump their gums parroting these things that poll well and expect people don't realize the difference between somebody who cares about an issue, somebody who feels it deep within their bones about an issue, who's just parroting shit. As if people are so dumb they don't understand. Cool. We know they're not going to learn the right lessons. The freaking new leader of the DNC, this guy on a live mic, on a hot mic, said, no, we don't want to stop dealing with billionaires. We just want to deal with the good billionaires. That's a thing they said. This is the Democratic Party's idea. We want to present a politics to the working people of America, which is just the vast majority, don't have fancy white collar jobs like me and my cohort. Like the vast majority of people, kids, fucking dealing with parents they're taking care of, people with full lives. The message we think that's going to get through to them is a message that's coded and tailored by the good billionaires of American society. Hawk Jeffries, go look it up, go read it. Went to Silicon Valley to go suck dick to reassure the big money donors of that region. Guys, please still love us. Don't go, please. Still love us. How is a message catered to that crowd with some level of lip service to the rest of us going to get through the people? Have you guys seen Hawk Jeffrey speak in public? He's cooked. Have you seen Chuck Schumer? Have you, like, I'm talking about cooked. And so these guys have no credibility. Why should anybody believe that the Democrats are going to go about this in such a way that's going to lead to a win come 2028? And so, which leads me to a convo that I'm having with somebody, one of my close homies. We're in the chat arguing about this. And I'm like, yeah, I'm fucking with the Stephen A idea. He's like, stupid idea. That's what he said to me. It's stupid. I said, wait, like, you got to explain to me, like, what's stupid? And to be fair, he's like, no, I understand what you're saying. Like, he's a vessel for a message, like, just like Trump is a vessel, blah, 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 blah. But, like, why is that an idea? That's stupid. I'm like, so you got to explain to me what's stupid. Like, is it the people that his message is able to get through to, like like the people that he's able to speak literally directly to whenever this guy's in front of a microphone, people like get it. Are you calling the people that he gets through stupid? Do you think Stephen A himself is stupid? Like, you got to explain to me what's so stupid about this idea. And basically in a roundabout way, his whole shit was, meritocracy. Um, this idea that the people with the credentials, the people with the fancy degrees, are the people who we should be putting in charge. That was basically it. Oh, people with experience, like Stephen A has no experience in government. What's he gonna do? And I'm like, this is the thing. And I'm like, this is the thing. We've been doing what you're describing for 50 years. Liberal elites have run the country for 50 years. 50 years unabated until this Trump moment, basically. Until Trump, it's liberal elites running the country. And if you're a working person, if you're a normal, everyday person in America, what has that gotten you? So like what you're making a case for just it just doesn't have any credibility, dog. Like deindustrializing the country to shit. Uh Bill Clinton and them taking a chop to social welfare in the 90s. Deregulating the shit out of the banks that gave us the fucking financial crash. Never making the people whole after the mortgage crash. Like just unfettered capitalism. What has this wrought? We get cheap products from China. Cheap, low quality products from China. That's what we get. We get Amazon. We have Amazon. We get Amazon Prime, a bullshit desk lamp in 2 days from China. That's it. That's what we got to show for it. And people are dissatisfied. People aren't satisfied with the outcomes. And the emergence of a figure like Donald Trump, that's what explains his emergence. It's not that, yes, there are foaming at the mouth wannabe Klansmen within the Trump coalition. That does not explain 80 million Americans. I'm sorry. Like, all the black people, all the brown people, all the Asian people are not eugenicists. I'm sorry, that doesn't explain his emergence. What explains it is a dissatisfaction with these very people, the credentialed class. And I'm not saying credentials don't matter. If you want to be a scientist, yeah, you need credentials. You want a lawyer, you need credentials. You want a doctor, you need those credentials to do those jobs. But just because you got some fancy degree from Yale law, that don't mean you're the best person to run the government. The proof is in the pudding. Yes, your credentials matter for your specialty in your field. But to run our government, it's just, you haven't proven that you guys are the dopest. There's no proof. Like, I'm sorry. And the American people just wholly reject this elitist approach to politics. People just don't fuck with it. People can sense when you're a Mitt Romney type. They can feel it. It's like Kamala. You're just like one of these guys. They just grab you guys out of the same bin. Bargain bin politician. Grab them out. Pretend that we have a choice. Put four of these bargain bin people in front of us. Yo, pick one. They all came from the same bin. And they calling that choice. And look, I'm not here talking about Stephen A as some perfect, whatever, messenger or any of that shit. I like Stephen A is flawed like everybody else. But when it comes to getting through, cutting through, and like, yo, go watch him on some of these shows. He's doing mad appearances. Go watch him. He's adept on Hannity. He's got no problem sparring with Sean Hannity. He's got no problem sparring with the CNN folks. He's got like no issue whatsoever. And again, to me, we get Stephen A aligned with just two. I think we just need two interest groups. We need some kind of worker or worker adjacent interests to back him. And we need to get him with, shouts to my people at the Quincy Institute, we need to get him with something like the Quincy Institute that is a anti-war, anti-intervention, pro-diplomacy, soft power, whatever, in terms of foreign policy, because the people don't want war. You marry that, you get Stephen, and again, you think Donald Trump dreamed up all of these executive orders on his own? It's just the Heritage Foundation, y'all. Like, he's not dreaming this shit up. There are things like, I bet you the stupid shit with the congestion tax in New York that like the citizens of New York are actually starting to really like. That he's like, oh, I reversed it and all of that. I bet you Trump dreamt that up himself. But when you see the executive orders he's rolling out one after another and all of this shit, Project 25, nigga, that's the Heritage Foundation. So this idea that you need to have been in government for however amount of time to get experience, it's like, bruh, nobody gives a shit. Like, these experienced politicians have not delivered. If experience meant deliverance for the people would be more than happy to keep voting these motherfuckers in. But the second somebody comes in with a different wave, it's like, oh shit, nah, I like this. This is different. So, and I use the example of Joe Biden. This motherfucker has been in politics for 50 years, since the 70s. This nigga spent 50 years, bro. He got in when he was like 28, something crazy like that. Okay? Who's more experienced than Joe Biden? Decades in the Senate, 8 years as Obama's vice president. So he's literally right next to the levels of power. Who's more experienced than Joe Biden? Did his experience show while this guy was president? Were we just wowed by his mastery of the legislative process or his ability to whip up votes? It's just like, yo, bro, what? So, yeah, I'm with the Stephen A idea. I'm with the idea that we break the monotony. This idea that Hawk Jeffries, Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi, who still wields a lot of power, these people who are the most proximate to the big money donor faction of the party, are going to come up with creative ideas and candidates that are going to get this thing back on track. I think that's just a folly, y'all. It's nonsense. And I can understand being skeptical. I can understand skepticism of Stephen A., but I cannot understand giving the Democratic Party establishment the benefit of the doubt. I can't. Y'all can hit me on my DMs, hit me and tell me why I need to be placing my faith in the Democratic Party establishment to right this ship. I just can't see it. I don't see it. I don't see why or how we could ever place faith in these folks that they're going to deliver incredible outcomes for us. And yeah, I just do think Stephen A is a compelling figure. He's charismatic. He has a way about him. When he speaks, people want to hear what people want to listen. They might like want to disagree and want to yell back at their TV or whatever, but people's ears perk up as soon as this guy starts speaking. And I think there's something to that. And I think, yeah, I think the celebrity factor fucking matters, bro. Fucking Tommy Tuberville, bum ass in Alabama. State full of Crimson Tide fans voted for his ass to the Senate. This shit, the name recognition shit matters, y'all. I'm telling y'all. Y'all can sleep on it if y'all want. Y'all can be like, oh, this is clownish. We're better than this. We're above it. No. How can you be above winning? How can you be satisfied with getting your ass kicked at the ballot box? How can that be good enough? I just don't get that. Anyway, and people going to say, oh, look at Wos stumping for Stephen A. Listen, he's got my endorsement. Until this process produces somebody who's better, more attractive, I'm riding with my guy Stephen A. Hollis home, man. Hollis crew. Shouts to my brother John Gervais on the ones and threes, keeping the trains running on time as always. Again, I want to shout to my guy Jake One for supplying the music for this joint. Shouts to everybody listening, watching on YouTube, listening, downloading the pods. Make sure you rate us, man, on the pod. Make sure you fucking giving us a thumbs up on YouTube. That shit, believe it or not, actually freaking matters. And so, yeah, we will see you guys next week. I'm out of here, y'all. Peace.